Last time on local news, ratings began to rise as Keith Connor's winning team covered hurricanes and the verdict in the desegregation trial.
The judge has clearly said in this order that it was certainly time to end race-based assignments and forced busing for the sake of integration.
I'm very proud of the station, and I'm happy that we're not reporting as much crime.
And coming up,
an 8-year-old is laid to rest. Tonight, his killer is still on the loose.
We need to be constantly pushing new developments tonight.
Police investigators returned to the house where his body was found.
I want somebody out there morning, noon, and night.
Something like this hits, and they want to go galloping like wild horses. We gotta make sure that we're not galloping off a cliff here.
If I go with that, then what's the likelihood they're going to tell me anything else?
If you can't give them what's new and what's now, they're gone.
I'm not trying to censor this. I just don't want to create a tone of strife.
I personally don't want to do it.
I'm not the right person to deliver that.
You need to take that story and find out what's new and put that at the top of the story.
My only goal tonight is I want to break something tonight. I have all this information. I gotta break something.
this program was made possible by support from the Ford Foundation, a resource for innovative people and institutions worldwide, the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, the Jacob Burns Foundation, and the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Yeah, this is the roll it in. What?
13 finger ready to pick the air wash. Page 3 17 line
6 News.
10-4, he's calling.
The great news here in terms of favorite station for local news between 1996 and 1999 is our preference, or us being looked as a favorite, has increased 40%. Yes, we're still behind, and we're trying to find here people who consume news a lot. We want that stronger news consumer to watch our station. We have to look at people and say what's important to them, and at all times, really what I call, put the face on the viewer, to get a sense of who the viewers are that watch us and what motivates them. Who watches us? In a market that is NASCAR and fishing, our people go out to dinner and spend money. They go swimming in their backyard pools. They travel to exotic places. What I'm trying to say here is that our viewers are out of sync with the market viewers at large. We're upscale, we're more educated, we're FAA, we're NPR versus cat country music. In fact, if you looked at this, you notice that our profile is very close to those people who don't watch news. We've defined a niche, and it's a very, very good niche. But our niche really mirrors people who do not watch local TV news as opposed to people who watch other news stations. We're trying to understand the viewers, see what clicks with them, understand the market, and put together a newscast that resonates better in the marketplace. Because what resonates better will bring better ratings.
The easy stuff is done. Now we got to grind it out. Now we got to get it up the hill. We've got to work as hard as we can, as smart as we can. Every day's a war. Every story matters. Every minute matters. Every newscast matters. This is in sports what we call the gut check.
Sticking to the structured schedule.
You got to go in and find out what you're made of.
Sure, Mecklenburg police wait on physical evidence to link the victim.
Are we going live from the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have file video?
I haven't done a thing on this.
Okay.
So I guess I need to...
I haven't either. I mean, I haven't been in the mix on this, but...
When the numbers have been as flat as they have been, you gotta do something. And I expected Alicia to be moved out. Pretty much what happened. I'm sure she's not happy about it.
My new neighbors. These are good neighbors to have. Wow. These are beautiful.
Kind of surprised he went with the two-female format, but they need someone who complements Sonya. It's apparently what our researcher and demographics show. Probably my 100th anchor change. So as long as you can remember their names when you pitch back to them, that's about the only thing that counts. So I'm sure Alicia's disappointed, but she is a very good reporter.
Yes.
Had a caller during the house calls who wants to know why Alicia Booth is off the 5:30 spot.
Okay. Did they leave a name and
Yes,
number?
Pat Smith.
Pat Smith. Pat is a man or a woman?
Pat Smith. She's a lady. All right, just passing it on.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Hello, I'm trying to reach Pat Smith, please. Pat, hi, my name is Keith Connors. I'm the news director at NBC6. I understand you called a little bit earlier with a question about Alicia Booth. Yes, and what can I help you with? Well, we think she's a much better reporter, and she's going to be out doing a lot of lead stories. Well, we think she's a terrific reporter, and Well, we're glad you're back watching tonight, and she's going to be out there every night on the early evening newscasts. Okay, thanks, man. Bye-bye. We've got to be in the business of creating new products to entice new viewers, and you can't keep doing all the same things you're doing. If you don't do something, at some point, it's going to catch up with you and pass you. So. Reminder, we start a new 5 o'clock hour newscast today. And this is a huge deal. We need to be constantly pushing what's new developments tonight. Here are the new developments. Here's what's new. Tell people what's new. And I would just say, make sure we've got to make sure we're hitting all our copy points. I wonder if we have enough, if there aren't other local stories we should be talking about at the bottom of the hour. This program needs to move out. Just everybody needs to be on their game today, tomorrow, and the next day. It should create a lot of sampling, so it's a good opportunity. So, with that said, rundowns. Where are our rundowns? Fire me a rundown. Let's get going, Deborah.
Okay, we're leading with the 8-year-old that was killed. The autopsy is finished, but the police are not releasing the results as of right now. Glenn said that there also may be a presser this afternoon. He thinks maybe it was hit
So
around 4
we're starting
o'clock.
with the new developments. What are the new developments?
The autopsy's finished.
And the result was?
They're not releasing it yet.
A couple things. We need to stay there. I want somebody out there morning, noon, and night until they find the killer. If there's a child killer on the loose, parents are going to be most concerned about that. That's a big old deal. So let's go through the storylines on this child, because this is certainly the biggest story we've got today, and we need to stay with it.
Let's say one kid. Suppose with 10 kids, we're all playing around. Somebody knows something. I think we need to beat that neighborhood. We're not beating the neighborhood like it should be beat. We're not beating the streets. We're going around looking for a lot of officials and looking for that official sound. I think that's fine. But if 10 kids was playing on the corner and neighbors saw them all playing, then all of a sudden they didn't see them, and somebody knows something. Some of those kids saw something. Parents know something. They had a neighborhood meeting with over 100 people. And that's what we're not getting. We're not getting the people stories. It's people in the neighborhood. Well, between now and the time they make an arrest, somebody needs to be I want somebody in that neighborhood all the time, because something's going to break.
At this point, I'm figuring we're going to get a statement, and I'm figuring it's going to come from Chief Snyder.
You feel confident that's going to happen?
Well, ain't nothing going to happen out in that neighborhood now.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you this, there's not going to be an arrest today.
Okay.
That's not going to happen. The story with the kid is a big deal. The kid being murdered, I understand that, but the danger is, something like this hits, and they want to go galloping like wild horses, and we got to make sure that, we're not galloping off a cliff here.
The edict from Keith was they don't want this scene to be left alone all night. So I think about you when I'm eating lunch. That's what Rick told me. I don't know. It seems pretty foolish.
That's the first time I've seen FBI at a local scene like this. That's a little unusual.
Yeah, I don't know who all's here.
Isn't the guy with the beard in the police attorney's office?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Which one?
With the blue shirt on.
He's familiar.
Are you guys going to be able to say anything to us on camera?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's really nothing else, nothing new to keep
But I understand, but
you know, even if you could just tell us in general terms what you guys are doing out here today and that sort of thing.
I don't know what direction Sean's been given on who and how to deal with the media. Let me talk to him and see what he said. He should be coming back out here.
Okay. Yeah, he'll be back since that funeral's over.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right.
They know who did it. I think so too. They know who did it. Yeah.
It's important to know how the neighbors feel, but I hate it. I hate to live up to that perception that we're all just a bunch of hawks descending on the neighborhood. There's a live truck.
Channel 9.
You know what? Just stop here like you're parking here. And I'm gonna get out. Oh, God, I don't want to do this.
This is perfect. Just hang loose.
Yeah.
Just 2 good ones is all we need.
I'll be happy with one.
Okay. This night we got 3 shots at it.
Hi, I'm Alicia from Channel 6. I'm sorry to bother y'all. I know you guys are probably sick and tired of having us around. Just kind of updating the investigation today, and we're wanting to see how parents in the neighborhood are feeling about how things are going.
I really don't have any comment.
Okay. Do you know anybody who might talk to me so I don't have to just ambush people?
Sorry, I don't.
I would always look forward to anchoring. I always had a good time, and you just feels like so much part of a team, and so that's fun. Not that I don't enjoy reporting, but it's work. I got a couple people to try. I don't want to park right in front of their house, so let's just turn the corner, going through those feelings of having to find someone in the neighborhood and feeling like you're violating them and your privacy, and like anchoring, it's sometimes you got to remember you're getting a paycheck for it. You know, reporting, you always know. I'm getting paid for this, thank God.
You know, I think people can only imagine what it's like to have to go through something like this. Are you feeling any better about having your kids in the neighborhood? Do you feel like it's winding down?
Yeah, I think it's starting to wind down. I think, you know, most of us are looking for answers as to what happened. We want it resolved for ourselves and for the family. Ready for the media to be gone, to be honest with you. You know, just a little more sense of peace, you know, that, you know, knowing a conclusion as to what happened.
You think it's taught you all how important it is to know each other and work together?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's good to, you know, get to know each other and to be there for each other. That's part of being a community, which I think a lot of, you know, communities have lost in these days.
If there's no new development, if there's no way to push the story forward, you know, the Justin Luter case, I mean, people want new information. You know, if you come out and say, you know, the search continues for the killer of a blah-blah-year-old boy, people are gone. They're like, they don't have anything.
Remember that you want to be in news content at the top of your 15 and stay there for 5 minutes so that we can get our click. You know, 9 for all the crap and sensationalism that they do. They do one thing very well, and that's they sell their lead.
And I think that's important to do is know how to sell it, know what's gonna make the viewer care, and know how to make them watch TV. And selling a lead doesn't necessarily mean that you are being, you know, tabloids.
Right.
It means you're telling them right off the top, you know, why they should care, why it is important to them.
In this day and age, people want to know what's happening right now. You need to know what's new and what's now. And if you don't tell them, if you can't give them what's new and what's now, they're gone. They're gone. They're going looking for it. And you need to take that story and find out what's new and put that at the top of the story.
This is today video, yeah. Funeral's today, so maybe they're over there. I hope not. Might be at the school, but I hope not either. I mean, you know, yeah, it's a tragedy and all, but when it comes, I mean, I got a 10-year-old, and I can, you know, God forbid anything would happen to her. You know, I would hate like hell to see somebody with a camera outside the funeral home. You know, I just, I think sometimes they push it too hard. So, same thing with the school. These kids, you know, they've never had it. Most of them have never had to deal like with a death of a friend or a loved one. And to go and stick a camera in their face, it's just, I think it's tacky. I do it because it's my job.
Now, we are hoping that as soon as the police conclude this meeting that we'll be able to get a better idea exactly what kind of progress they have made. But for more now on how some of Justin's classmates are dealing with this terrible tragedy, we go live now to Robin Thorpe, who is at McKee Road Elementary.
Okay, let's go make that phone call that Jeffrey has for us. Hey, Jeff.
Yo.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I tried calling a friend of mine at Channel 9, and I thought he was calling right back, and I was joking and answering the phone. Eyewitness News. So sorry about that.
This is not Eyewitness News.
Well, I have information that I think you all have to decide what to do with.
What you got, man?
Well, a person who talks to me often that is closely involved in this investigation had been telling me from the beginning that the suspect in the case is a 15-year-old, someone who lives in the neighborhood. I have a second person now. This person is in the district attorney's office that is also connected with this case, who confirms what the person in homicide told me about the 15-year-old, and also says that the cause of death in the case was strangulation.
When your sources talked to you, were they clear that you might be going with this? I mean, obviously, I know that they wouldn't want to compromise the investigation. I mean, how would they feel if that information got out there?
I didn't ask that question, and it didn't come up in our very brief conversation this morning. These people talk to me knowing that I'm a reporter. I mean, you know.
Well, the question is, what do people need to know? What do they want to know? What do they have a right to know? And you know, what if we report this? What are the consequences of us reporting this?
You know, I'm still trying to feel my way through what the ground rules are, and what your standards are in terms of putting some of this stuff on the air, and that's why I felt that you all needed to sort of talk about it and help me understand a little bit better how the process works.
Well, I know that they would not want the cause of death to get out because that's how you get the suspect.
The reporter in me says it's great stuff. I mean, and it's a good story that everybody wants to know about. Tomorrow there's a press conference, and everybody may know about it by tomorrow anyway. I mean, I don't know.
Can you talk to your police source again and tell them that we've got we're getting ready to go with this, and what does he think the consequences of us doing something like that would be?
I mean, you know, you're almost inviting them to say, "Don't do the story" at that point.
Yeah.
It's not that I doubt his source, but you know, unless I hear it from my source that I've had for a long time, who's never steered me wrong, I'll ask him point blank: is this going to compromise the investigation, or you know, what is the motive for leaking this?
Okay, go work the phones. See what you can find.
Hey, Rick. What's Glenn doing? Is he just sitting around waiting for this to end?
Hey Glenn, we're gonna call you here.
I've never felt that I've had to do something that I felt ethically was wrong. Now, sometimes I've had to push and stomp my feet a little bit and say, I don't think this is the right thing to do, but I've never felt like I had to do it. When I came to Charlotte, I really needed to help my image journalistically, and that's where Glenn Counts came in. And he dragged me around like a little kid and introduced me to all of the cops. And little by little, with Glenn's help, the doors started opening for me. Yeah, I want you bad, baby. Listen, I'm a little freaked out on this thing. You know, you heard about Sonia got 2 confirmations that they're focusing on the 15-year-old. Okay, now who did you talk to and what did they tell you? Glenn and I, we don't tell each other who our sources are, but we know how good they are that we've gone with each other's information without confirming it on our own. And I haven't done this with Jeff because he was at a competing station. You think you think David's the one that needs to give me the okay on that? Hey, yes, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're probably very busy. Gotta ask you something really important. I know, but I got some information, and I just want to make sure that if I go with it, it's not going to hurt what you guys are doing about the 15-year-old. Okay, well, that a 15-year-old is in the neighborhood is the focus of the investigation. Okay, so you're not talking to a 15-year-old. Mm-hmm. Okay, so to say that a teenager in the neighborhood is the focus of the investigation would be wrong. Okay. Right. Oh, I know, and I know you didn't release anything. Well, I'm trying to be responsible and make sure that if I go with information I have, that it's not going to hurt the case. That's. So you can't tell me. Okay. All right. Okay, thanks, Dave. Bye.
This is a coalition of a number of groups that have come together on this very historic day where our school board will be deciding on whether or not to appeal Judge Potter's decision. Our primary reason for being here today is to fight for equity.
And it's a travesty to look at what has happened over the last 30 years in terms of the original court case and the things that were supposed to happen that did not happen. If you look at the inner city schools, it is very clear that it is a very unequal system. And if they're talking about doing now separate and unequal, we're going back 30 and 40 years, and that's unacceptable. They must appeal this case. We have got to have equity in the schools.
Hi, Karen. I'm sorry to bother you. Everybody's watching this case. People at home are glued to every single word about how this is portrayed. Would you like to talk to us? And so as a journalist, I felt it imperative to watch what I said about this case.
They've been trying to dress it up and candy coat it so that it wouldn't look like what it is.
I try to be a good listener. I'm trying to capture subtle nuances about what they're feeling about this whole matter.
I think that's really what they want, is separate schools.
I don't want to offend anyone.
These are kind of, I have to be careful because some of these are a little bit inflammatory. Parents are angry, and one parent says that what if a black kid had been denied admission to this magnet program, that the NAACP should be sympathetic. I'm not trying to censor this, I just don't want to create a tone of strife because they are asking the community to actually heal itself and move on. And I don't want to use a lot of black this, you know what I mean? It's so divisive. This is really just about children. It's not, you know, I know it was about race, but it was about children. I don't want to go into that. I really don't. I'm not the right person to deliver that.
Who writes leads here? Do we let reporters write leads here?
You mean like show leads?
Leads to stories, lead-ins to packages.
Yes, reporters do. They call in usually. Now that doesn't mean it stays that way, but they will call in a lead
How often
to their
do we
story.
accept that?
Depends on who it is. Some of them are better than others.
And produced, and they'll call and say, hey, do you have a lead in yet? And I said, yeah, I got one in there. And then I'll say, well, what is your lead in? What I found out is that sometimes they don't necessarily punch it up.
In my lifetime of doing this, I know about 6 reporters who could write a better lead than I could.
Right. Yeah, most of the time it has to be redone.
Yeah, and it should be. And I want to make sure we're doing that. I want to make sure, I don't want anybody just accepting, you know, oh, here's, you know, Bob wrote his lead, okay, that goes into the show now. It needs to, at the minimum, be a collaborative process.
Yeah.
And if someone comes in and sells an idea in the morning meeting and we all buy it, you know, you got to understand, okay, they sold it, that's why we bought it, and then you got to sell it to the viewers.
I can't tell you how good I feel about having the 2 of you running this newsroom. Take it and run with it. You know, both of you know what needs to be done. Both of you know how it needs to be done. Don't let things stand in the way of getting that done.
Whenever people give me information, and we've been through this before, before I hang up, I make it very clear what can I go with, what can I not go with. And probably most of the stuff that I learned today, I will never go with. Do you feel pretty certain he did it? Yeah, off the record. Okay. Ugh, how awful. Why would they be afraid to talk to the police? I see. Well, I mean, my goal, my only goal tonight is I want to break something tonight. I have all this information. I gotta break something. You tell me what can I break? I got everything confirmed. I know a lot of little tiny details about the case, which I'm not even going to bring up because I don't think I'll ever be able to share them. But I know that they feel a 15-year-old did it. But they also think that he may have had some help. And what's happening right now is his mother is in total denial. And they have not gotten him a lawyer yet. And they may have one more chance to talk to him before he lawyers up. So they don't want me to go with the focusing on the 15-year-old because they're not necessarily just focusing on him. The deal, the compromise that I came up with one of the people involved in this was that I can report that police, that law enforcement believes the killer lives in that neighborhood.
What about saying he was a teenager?
His fear is he's the only one that they've talked to, then that's going to ruin it. And they're really nervous about this kid's mother getting him a lawyer. And they're probably not going to talk to him today, and they figure they have one more chance to talk to him.
What about a teenager?
Just to confirm that they think the killer lives in the neighborhood, isn't that enough?
Some, but, Jeff has, from independent sources, that it's a 15-year-old.
Here's another issue. We say if they've talked to 3 kids, and only one of them's 15, and the whole neighborhood knows that, and we say it's a 15-year-old, we're indicting that kid.
We've got enough sources that we can go. The question is, do we go?
They could come out of that meeting and go make an arrest.
If I go with that, then what's the likelihood they're gonna tell me anything else? You know, and the reason I was surprised that he was okay with my going with the killers in the neighborhood. But the reason he told me that is like, because he trusts me. I personally don't want to do it. Now, Jeff, feels very confident.
Let's just get some stuff on paper and start talking through that.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
NBC6 has team coverage of today's school board vote. Our coverage begins with the education reporter, Sterling Benson-Weber. She's at the Education Center. And Sterling, what can you tell us?
Well, John, I can tell you that it is truly a moment of decision for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg School Board. School board members are very riled up. And I guess their attitude is, come what may, win or lose an appeal, we simply want the public to know how we stand. And so we're going on record today to tell you where we stand on this matter.
Not only the board is going to act in a civil manner, but those in the audience, because we're all role models for all of our children.
At stake here is the entire health of this community.
Go ahead, Mrs. Cockadellis.
I appreciate it.
So I'm really trying to be as fair and open-minded and remove myself from this as a player, even though I'm a part of this community, and say, this is what the parties said.
Fear, bitterness, unforgiveness, and distrust continue to haunt some people's every thoughts. Dr. King said a person should be known for the character rather than the color of their skin. Why must we continue to segregate? What we have done in the past, the last 30 years, has worked for some kids. It hasn't worked for some. May we have a school system that works for each child.
This case, although people will tell you it's not about race, is, in fact, about race. I've been on this board now for 4 years. Some of the same people who sit here with me now have voted against every opportunity to place schools in the African American community. But now we want equity. Let's put some now. We could have had schools in the African American community years ago. Does that not smell like a rat to you?
We need to take our time out of the courtroom, focus on the classroom. The distraction of the last few months, the distraction of what may be ahead of us, should we elect to continue in this process, is dramatically going to affect the core business that we have as a Board of Education, we have as a community. I remain committed to that.
The judge's decision may be legal, but it doesn't make it just. And the ruling never was about the education of all children. This is about a trend in this country that rendered open season on civil rights gains, on affirmative action gains, on political gains. This case is deeper in its intent and its scope than simply where children will attend school in Charlotte-Mecklenburg.
We segregate ourselves. We live in white communities and black communities. We go to white churches and black churches. We belong to national organizations that limit its memberships to people who look like us. Well, shame on us. Shame on us if a return to neighborhood schools keeps us from one another. And shame on us for expecting our children to solve a problem that we as adults do not have the political or social will to solve ourselves. They have far better things to do with their energy than to solve our problems.
No one in here is colorblind, and I'm tired of people saying I'm colorblind, because if you're colorblind, you don't see me, and I'm definitely colorblind. Now, I say to you, Jim Puckett, I love you as a human being, but I have a problem with your position on it. There are 5 people who were a part of the county commission.
Dr. Lake, hold on a minute.
I just gotta say it, Doctor.
Hold on a minute. Now, I don't mind the applause and stuff coming from the audience, it's fine, but don't yell and interrupt the speaker.
My mother and father, who are in their grave, they would not allow me to sit here if I did not stand up for our children. Stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. That's right. And at the cost of the case, nobody asked what it cost 1960, 1970, 1954. Nobody talked about costs. But all of a sudden, it has become a problem when it comes to defending our children. So let us spend our last dime, let us pick cotton for a long time to get the job done.
There's a motion on the floor, so I'm going to call on the vote as it relates to these items. With respect to the injunction against using race, there's a motion that we appeal this to the United States District Court. All right.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
It's already been moved. I'm calling for the vote at this point. All right. Okay, all of those in favor, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those opposed, same sign. 1, 2, 3, 4. Madam Clerk, that passes 5-4.
All right.
I heard this guy who actually preached the day after the court ruling came down. He was a local community leader and minister. And he was trying to help the congregation find solace. And so he was basically saying that we're down, but we're not out. He was referring to the black community. And what he said was something that I think is universal and that I thought of when I was sitting there today that kind of would nullify some of the racial tension, is that he says in life we should all strive for what is just, right, and fair. That has no racial connotations, does it? It has no name, it has no gender, it has no socioeconomics. And I mean, that's really what this should be about with these children. And therefore, race would be less significant if you looked at what's right and what's fair. You know? I just wish that, I don't know, I wish it weren't so divisive. You know? It really is. So.
5 o'clock news is ready to go. It's just going to be a whole new world, and we have got to communicate with each other since we're getting into some new areas here. We just need to be all on the same page, and it's imperative that everybody take that extra minute to communicate up and down the line.
I thought about you.
Because
nervous.
You have to go up and change.
Point,
you already changed you?
We are where we are. We're either ready or we're not ready. It'll be fine. It'll be a good show. It'll look good. Feel good now.
We just need to stay alive.
You get a little 5 o'clock shadow going.
Oh my goodness, I know it's time for me to go home now. That's a couple extra hours in there.
Lifting weights?
Yeah, I mean, you name it, whatever it takes.
Staying awake? I can lift this newscast. It's not that heavy. I can lift it. All right.
All right, yeah, we're going to be all right. Time for the meeting?
I'm more worried about this.
Yeah, well, we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
So now join the case of Charlotte Mecklenburg Police with.
Of race-based student assignments. Oh, Lordy, what a hairy day.
That's my alarm. We're getting close.
I searched that tape long and hard today to find some great sound from the people who had voted against the appeal. And I
wanted them to have a better say in terms of letting the public know I care about this issue too. And I felt like, well, if I could just get a good bite where they say something really compelling. I put my story in jeopardy to try to find their bites. Hector!
Sterling, please.
Here you go.
You got it? You're leaving. Everything is cool here?
Everything is cool.
Okay, I got all the tapes, everything, so go ahead. I'm staying.
Let me just talk to you about it for a second to make sure. This is all pre-pro. And then Rashawn says this is not about African-American kids, but all kids deserve equal and fair education. Okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No. Yeah,
Hurry up so we won't be late. Now,
yeah, go
this
ahead,
is
go
the other
ahead.
thing.
Let me finish. Let me start.
Okay, I want to ask you something. Do you think we should put Puckett in there whenever she says, Mr. Puckett, I have a problem with you? Him saying, Miss Leak, you're going to have to come into order. There's Griffin talking there. Right after that where he says you're going to have to come to order. Remember?
But after that, no.
Okay,
just leave it like this. Just whatever. Did you time it?
No, I didn't. I'm going now. If anything has to be cut, just cut it, get done.
What else do we have? We have only one package?
Yes, well, we have a both sides. Okay, but in any event,
The gavel fell.
get done versus make it pretty.
Fly.
My package makes it. Oh my gosh.
Because we're going to try to make the traffic things as specific as we possibly can, you won't get those until about 5 minutes or so before each hit.
Okay.
So if you don't see those, don't panic. They're coming.
Candy. Who gave us candy?
Is that Megan?
Yes. Megan, thank you.
You're so sweet.
You know, the most important thing.
Have fun.
No, get big ratings so we all get raises.
But finally he's honest.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Just relax.
Is that okay?
Enjoy it. Enjoy the ride.
Have fun. Okay.
Stand by. Is everybody on their marks? You ready for supers?
Yeah, ready? I'm gonna attempt to, yeah.
Ugh.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
3. Stand by, everybody.
Good luck.
All right, let's do it.
You're watching Sonia Gant, Kelly Ryan, Ray Boylan with weather, and Chuck Howard on sports. This is NBC 6 News at 5.
An 8-year-old is laid to rest. Tonight, his killer is still on the loose. Investigators continue to search his neighborhood for murder clues. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sonia Gant.
And I'm Kelly Ryan. He was buried this morning, and just a few minutes ago, there was an impromptu memorial. This as police investigators return to the house where his body was found. That's where NBC 6's Glenn Counts joins us live. Glenn, what's going on out there?
Just a few minutes ago, there was an impromptu memorial service that occurred just across the street from the house where the boy's body was found. Family and friends gathered to release some purple balloons in the air in memorial of little Justin.
Everybody should just get together and just,
All right, 2, you can get over here.
That way, if anything
Okay, this looks really funny.
We lost the tape. Stand by.
Is not the tape of the memorial service that we were about to show you. Hopefully we can get that for you a little bit later on. Reporting live from Southeast Charlotte, Glenn Counts 6 News.
All right, Glenn, we're going to be checking back with you on that story.
Alicia Booth joins us live from Law Enforcement Center with details. Alicia?
Police have made a lot of progress. Our sources close to this investigation tell us that whoever killed Justin Marlowe probably lives right in his neighborhood, which frankly was not a big surprise to some of the residents we spoke with today. What was a bit of a surprise was that police decided late today to announce that Justin was strangled.
What am I reading here?
Okay, you're doing A43 and A44. You're voicing over.
I don't have those.
We don't have that.
Oh well. Time to wing.
Is it in the prompter? Because she does not have copy. A26 is dead. Huh? Yeah, we took it live. Yeah. A26 is dead.
Just add the product, but take it out your scripts just in case.
Stand by.
People with mental retardation, so please give them a call.
And you're looking at a live picture from the scene where an 8-year-old was murdered. Police are now looking for that killer. We'll take a break. We'll be back.
In the end, some people say the board bowed to public pressure. Board members said they go to their country.
Right there.
Yes, they are.
Thank
And
you.
backup package is feeding right now.
Gosh.
Here we go, Scott.
You're absolutely correct, Sonia. In fact, this was the most emotionally charged school board meeting I have ever witnessed during the time that I have covered schools here. Now, there was a lot of verbal sparring among school board members as they debated this issue of whether or not they really should file an appeal.
Listen,
As they try to challenge this
that's what I'm telling you. I just got that word. We're in the Q&A with Sterling. Let's mention that.
It's a choice in this matter of where their kids go to school. I can't believe that my package didn't make it.
That's exactly right. About 9 o'clock, about 50 or so parents showed up here to rally outside the school board meeting before school board members had even started their session. And then other people started showing up. In fact, the boardroom became so packed that the overflow came out down here and the people watched the outcome on television outside the building. Reporting live from the school board headquarters, Scott Sayers, 6 News.
Lee, I can't believe it. The tape jammed?
Must have jammed when they either took it out of the machine or were putting it in playback. He said 30 seconds, so it must have been in playback.
And all I could think of was the fact that it wasn't there. I couldn't even ad-lib because I was so nervous about it not being there.
I mean, all I know, he said the tape
How
jammed.
could the tape jam?
Well, if they're trying to rush it in and push it in, you might want to give them a call.
Well, the news continues now with 6 News. Let's check in with Alan Denton for a preview of what's coming up.
Okay. I want to talk through this thing before we talk to everybody else, because this was bad. This was a badly executed deal. And I want to talk through what the appropriate response is. You know, that one's gone halfway to Venus. We're not going to bring it back. But let's get to the fundamental core things. We're not getting the video cut in time. The show is not crisp in any way, shape, or form. It's we're, you know, got a dozen, 2 dozen times in that newscast we're on an event when the next event is starting. We're not keeping up with it.
In the time I've been here, I think it's probably the worst telecast we've had.
I'd agree with that.
I would.
It was an abomination. You know, some of it's the old, you know, we came out of the blocks wrong and it went downhill from there.
From the things that I saw, it looked like there were tape problems, and I don't know what the origin was, but there were, well, the first thing right off the bat was a tape problem.
I walked straight over to Andreas within 30 seconds of them stopping tape, and Andreas was pulling the tape out of the machine saying, "I've got it, it's going to playback."
I can't say that that was really Glenn's fault that it was fed late, because at 1:45, Glenn called and said, "We've just had the most impromptu thing happen. You're not going to believe this. We have sound from the grandma." I said, "Okay, can you get both done in your package?" "No." "Well, then ditch the package that you had written because it said nothing new, and let's put this VOSOT together," which is basically what they threw on one tape was a VOSOT. And I think because the editors were in a crunch already, that's why the tape was there. It was in playback. It was miscued, and it was queued up to the wrong story, which is what happened off the top.
The system will do a lot, but we have to learn the basics first. That's what we're trying to tell everybody. Let's learn the basics first, and we have not done that at all. Don't wait till it's that time and you're in crunch time to try to learn everything, then to call me. And that's, you know, so that's another whole issue, and hopefully we'll work through that within the next couple of days.
The only way that the 6 T's got done today was Doug Stacker cut it. There was no way in hell that the way it was written, with the direction, the lack of direction that was given, that those editors could have cut that.
Okay, let's go through this. I'll talk about those teachers real quick, because I took it upon myself to go to different people and ask. I saw Doug sitting there. I knew Doug had shot most of that video today. I said, well, Doug can have this. He can find that real quick. He shot 2 of the 3 pieces of video that was in it.
I'll tell you what I see right now. I see you two were not in concert, you were in conflict. You're doing stuff, but neither one of you know what the other one's doing. And I'm gonna goddamn tie the 2 of you together with baling twine and chewing gum, and tomorrow you're gonna work as Siamese twins, because that's the only way that deal's gonna work. I see we've got major editing issues and nobody's stepping up back there. Everybody just bitching and nobody's saying, all right, I'm gonna take control of the situation. And from now on until we're ready, Kevin, I want you back there every day at 4 o'clock, ramrodding that goddamn thing until it's right. And, you know, instead of sitting around going, whoa, you know.
You know what, we can go through today and pick out a lot of different things. I think the bottom line is, today when we got, you know, when the first pitch came out, we did not step to the plate. Bottom line, we needed an extra effort from everybody today, and it wasn't there. It wasn't there. I'm sorry, it just wasn't.
I do not think that was the case. I don't think there were people back there not stepping up.
I don't think it was people sitting out there saying whatever. I don't think the editors didn't get it done for lack of wanting to get it done. I don't think that, you know, Deborah didn't float something or didn't write something for lack of wanting to get it done. That's just my opinion.
I'm talking, what we've got to decide in 8 minutes is what is the appropriate response. What is it that people need to hear from us as managers about what happened today? Because what happened today did not go well. Everybody knows it did not go well.
These people have walked on water over the past 3 months in hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and everything else. And they need to be encouraged, because there was a ton of shit thrown at people today. A ton of shit. And these are good people, but they need to be encouraged, in addition to being, you know, batted around about what went wrong.
I think it was an eye-opener for everyone involved who does give a shit. I think their eyes are open now, and I think probably they're looking to figure where do we go from here, and they're probably gonna put an extra sensitive read on what you say today.
Hey, Sandy. Chuck.
Yes, sir.
Let's get started. You know what this means? Shut the hell up. Can everybody hear me? Who's got TVs up? Turn them down. How are we doing on time? It's 7:15. I apologize for us getting started late. I want to talk a little bit about tonight and the 5 o'clock news. I don't know how many of you had a chance to see it. I will be very honest with you in that it was not very good. Matter of fact, in the time I've been here, it was probably the least good newscast we've done. And I will also be honest with you in that it is entirely my fault for what happened. And I apologize to you for pushing too hard on that front. We tried too much at once, and that is a management mistake, and that is a lesson that I learned, and something that we probably won't do again. And I'm truly sorry for everybody's hard work and effort that went into that, and that it didn't come out quite the way that we had anticipated. I'm certain that what happened today wasn't for the lack of effort or the lack of intense loyalty and hard work that went into that. And I just want to let you know that I really appreciate all that all of you did to make that happen, and all the effort that it's going to take to make it right. And we will make it right, because that's what we do. And that's that.
Next time on Local News.
These folks are having a difficult time getting things accomplished. How can that be with all that we've done here?
Experts say that the community, which had hoped for a quick arrest, should now prepare to be patient.
That's what's taking them so long. They are stumped.
What did the police say to you?
Oh, they said that they intend to prosecute me.
The police said they intend to prosecute you?
We've basically been operating with what sounds like one hand tied behind our back, and I charge you with that issue.
I gave up a long time ago worrying about it. If it doesn't work out, I'll find another gig. Happy New Year.
And often rumors can be even more frightening than reality. But neighbors like Tracy Poole say she and her children feel safer now that she knows more about the investigation.
You know, I don't think many of us are really fearful. I think it was an isolated incident, but we want to know that for sure.
Sources say the killing appears to have been in...
Step into the newsroom with PBS Online. Check out the local news companion website on pbs.org.